Hi Stampers, I'm Dawn Tidd with tidbitsfromdawn.typepad.com, and today I'd like to invite you into my craft room and show you a couple little stampin' tidbits. So come on in and let's get going. Today I just wanted to share with you a little bit about how I cut the letters out to make this card. I have a couple little tricks that might be helpful for some of you if you've not done this before. And even if you have, maybe it's a trick you haven't seen. So today's cast of characters is the Morning Post alphabet set. I'm going to just use real red ink pad and a real red Stampin' Write marker, and of course my trusty paper snips, a little snail adhesive, and my silicone sheet. So to get started, the first thing you're going to do is I'm going to start with the A, because the thing I want to show you is how to cut out around these little thin letters and cut the middles out of where there's a white space. Let me get it up here, where there's a little white space in there, and then how to connect the two back together. So after stamping, what I always do, of course I'd have a long line of letters here if I were doing an entire word. I just kind of cut a square out for each one. And then I found out the hard way that the easiest way to start is to cut the skinniest leg first. So on any of your letters you'd want to start with the very skinniest leg. So I just go ahead and trim up and then cut around my little paper snippers. And when I get to where the cross line is there in the A, I just go ahead and cut right up it, right up the middle. And I cut out this triangle, and if I don't get every little white piece off, I don't entirely worry about that, and I'll show you why in just a minute. And then the next thing I'm going to do is cut the outside edge of this skinny leg so that that's taken care of, because if you don't and you're trying to cut that at the very end, it's just going to be really frustrating because it wiggles around and there's nothing to hold on to. And so then I just continue on cutting this out. And like the cooks on the Food Network, I already have my little casserole prepared here for you. And this is why I don't worry about any white areas that are left on my showing, because I can just take my little Stampin' Write marker here. I don't want to cover up all of it because some of it's writing, but there are some places on here. And this one doesn't have as many as usual. But if you had any white area, like on this one, for instance, there would be this little line right here. I just take my marker and cover that up, so I don't have to worry about getting so close in. But in order to get this to connect back together, and if you wanted to pop dot it up, if you wanted it to be one of your letters that you pop dotted up, then you would want that more stable than wiggling around like this. So what I do is I take my snail adhesive and I just roll it right over that little area. And of course doing it on the silicone sheet means you won't have a big mess. And then I take another scrap of Whisper White or whatever color cardstock you're using, and I just cut a very little thin strip of this. I'll have to roll it off the edge to get it in my hand. And then I place it right across that broken line. Sometimes I use my scissors to push it down really well. And there you have it. It's back together stable enough so that when you put it on a card, it's not going to be loose and wiggle all around. And the other thing I wanted to just point out too is when you're doing, see this letter I cut out previously, the H, and it's got a good bit of white still showing, so I just take my Stampin' Write marker and cover it up. But on the H, you definitely want to go up into these two areas here first and cut those out before cutting anything else out, so that you don't lose all the stability with the white paper still around the outer edges. So that's my little tips for today, and I hope those tidbits help you in some way as you're cutting out letters. Have a great day and come back to see me.